Hey, this is Chris, and welcome back to the Popcorn Finance Back to School series. This is week 2 of a 5-week series where each week I'm joined by a guest and we take a look at college from a different angle. Today's episode is all about scholarships and, more importantly, how to actually win one. Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Popcorn Finance, where we discuss finance in about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. Appreciate you coming back for another episode. And today I'm really excited because we're gonna jump into a topic that I don't really know that much about. So I'm definitely happy to be bringing on an expert. And so today I have Pam Andrews joining me. She's a college admissions coach and scholarship strategist from the scholarshipshark.com. How's it going, Pam?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, Chris.
No, appreciate you being here, and definitely appreciate you sharing some knowledge, because I'm not going to be much help to anybody on this episode. So I'm going to be leaning on you here because, Pam helps high school students get into their dream college and secure scholarships that will help pay for it. And, one of the big accomplishments that she's done, I'm sure among many, is to help her son win over $700,000 in scholarship money that paid for his undergraduate school and graduate school. So that's big. That's a big accomplishment. I think give you some chops. People can trust that you know what you're talking about. First of all, I'm just impressed by all of that stuff right there.
Thank you. Thanks.
And then secondly, I hear about scholarships all the time. You hear that they're out there. When I was in when I was in high school, I heard about them and I tried to even apply for a few of them, but I didn't have much success, kind of got discouraged and then just stopped and just figured, there's not really any money out there. So, for someone who's had success like yourself, where does someone even start?
So the first thing, it really starts with mindset. So you're not going to win a scholarship if you don't apply for it. And I think a lot of times young people need the energy and the drive to work towards finding them. So really just getting in the right mindset that there is a scholarship out there for me, that, there's plenty, just having really an abundance mindset that there's plenty of opportunities available. I just think the biggest challenge for students is just discovering them. Legitimate scholarships that are not scams, scholarships that are not a waste of their time. And so I think just starting with, having the right internal dialogue and knowing that it is possible, that others have done it. And so, therefore I can do it too. So I think that's the very first thing. And then armed with that, I think the next thing a student can do is to begin to search. And I always tell my students, I think batching, and when you do a bunch of things together at one time, so batching creates efficiency. So I always tell students, take an hour or two, maybe like an hour and a half, build your list of scholarships. Which ones do you want to work on this month? Go ahead and keep up with those, write those down. And then on another day, I wouldn't recommend the same day. Maybe another day, if you do one thing on maybe a Tuesday night, let's say, then maybe on a Thursday or Saturday, sit down and begin to apply for a few of those scholarships and knock them out. So I think that's probably the key, just really getting organized in terms of searching first, building your list of scholarships, and then applying second and then just continually doing it throughout the school year, throughout the summer, throughout your Christmas break.
No, that's a great point. And, too, to jump back when you're talking about making a list, looking for scholarships first that are kind of similar and then applying for them like in batches, I think that's a great point. I know I didn't do that. I would just kind of randomly find them, apply for one, and then see what happens, and then kind of search again. It was like very stop and start. And you're right, it is hard to kind of keep yourself in that mindset of it's two different kind of like modes. Like searching is one mode, and then applying and writing stuff and getting ready is a completely different mode for your brain to be in. So no, I love that tip.
Yeah, thank you.
And where do you recommend people even search? Like where do you go look for these scholarships?
Yeah. So for high school students, I'll give a couple of locations where the listeners can immediately have, if they're young people listening, they can go and do it, or if they're parents of young people, they can go ahead and encourage them to do it. One of the best places, the very best places, is your high school's guidance counselor. A lot of times students go to their guidance counselor's office just at the beginning of the school year, maybe for their coursework, academic advising, or, I know some young people who really have never seen their guidance counselor. When I start working with students, I'm like, okay, one of the first things that they have to do when they complete my questionnaire is tell me the name of your guidance counselor. And, and sometimes they don't even know, like, I don't know her name. I'm like, you've never seen her. So,
I don't think I met mine until senior year, so I can understand that.
Right. So, they're a wealth of information. I'll tell you why. Let's say if I own a local business, let's say I'm a jeweler and I have, ABC Jewelers, and I'm giving away a $500 scholarship on, I don't know, some essay. You write a 250 to 500 word essay on whatever. And it's for seniors because a lot of local businesses are very generous and very philanthropic. And so it's not unusual for a local business to offer a scholarship. Well, the best way for me to get the word out is to go right to that, the area high schools to let them know about this opportunity for their students. So definitely start with your high school guidance counselor and ask him or her, where do you house the scholarships? Now, here's one of my pro tips. So if you're a senior, of course, if you're listening, it's the top of the school year, it's September. Go ahead and take advantage of doing it. But if you're a junior or a sophomore, freshmen are kind of in transition. They're leaving middle school, going into high school, trying to figure it all out. So they're not really thinking college. Yeah. But sophomore and junior year, you can do this. You still go to your guidance counselor. You still ask that same question and you find out what's coming up, coming down the road. Because if you know that you may need to participate in a certain club or you may need a recommendation from a certain type of teacher or maybe a local government official or maybe lead a project. And I'll give another good example. There's one large national scholarship where it says, describe a project that you've led. What was the outcome? Who did it impact? And this was, it's a $40,000 scholarship, $10,000 a year. Well, if you've never led a project, it's only for high school seniors. If you've never led a project, you can't talk about it. So if you're in the 10th or the 11th grade years, now's a great time. As you're thinking through your clubs and your activities and your extracurriculars, also stop by the guidance counselor's office to see, okay, so what are the scholarships? And do it throughout the school year.
That's a great point. That's a really great point. I didn't even think about that. You get to your senior year, you only have so much time left. You can't all of a sudden join all these clubs and try to participate in these programs to qualify. So you're kind of like, you're doing a little research, getting a heads up on what you need to do. And it gives you, 2-3 years to do the things you need to get a scholarship.
Absolutely. And then number two, and this works well with students, high school students typically of all ages, so as early as the 9th grade year. And there are several websites, several directories, scholarship directories, but one of my favorites is Big Futures. And many students are familiar with Big Futures, typically around the 10th grade year, definitely by the 11th grade year when they're setting up their College Board account for the PSAT. So students are already going to collegeboard.org, creating College Board accounts. And a lot of times I find that they don't even know that there's a link right on the page that says scholarships. So you're going there, you're focusing on registering for your SAT. That's all they're focused on, the SAT. But there's a link there with tons of scholarships. And when you create your account, it's asking you for all kinds of information. So the more details you provide in terms of your grade and your city, your state, your major, and all that good stuff, is going to help to filter some of those scholarships for you.
Oh, that's interesting.
There are a couple of others. I'll just name a few more, but I really like the big future ones. There's one by Sallie Mae. A lot of times people just know Sallie Mae is the lender, but Sallie Mae has some great resources on their website. If you go to salliemae.com/scholarships with an S, there are scholarships there. And then another website is scholarships with an S, scholarships.com. And then FastWeb, FASTWEB.com. So those are all directories where it will list scholarships. And
okay. And I'm actually familiar with, I think the last one's the only one I remember from back when I was trying to apply for scholarships.
There are literally so many directories, but those are just a few of the big ones. So if a listener got started with that would be a lot. One final thing for our high school seniors. So in addition to your guidance counselor, your website directories, definitely go to the website of the colleges to which you're interested in. So if you live in one state, one city or whatever, as you're building your college list and you're working to apply, then also go back and visit that school's page and click. It's typically you click on financial aid and you'll see it, and they'll talk about their school scholarships for maybe different majors, maybe STEM majors, nursing majors, or psychology or education, or general for the general college or general university. And then sometimes they have local scholarships by local businesses as well. And, because you don't live in the area, you may not know about it. So that's another great way to find a local scholarship, which tends to have fewer applicants, and that, increases your odds of winning if you do the right thing on the scholarship and do a good job on your application.
No, that's perfect. No, thank you. This is a lot of great, I think, really applicable information that people can take and can help either themselves if you're a younger listener listening to this episode, or if you're a parent, you have kids who are approaching this age. I think there's a lot of good advice in here for where they can get started on finding some ways to pay for college without having to pay for it themselves. So do a quick recap. So if I can remember this correctly, you said start with your guidance counselor. That's a great place to start. They'll know about maybe some local scholarships. They maybe have access to some directories or some lists of some things that are going on in the area. That'd be a good idea for you to apply for. You also mentioned that going to a different college directory. So you mentioned FastWeb. I remember that because that's the only one I've ever actually used, but there were a few other examples you gave. And then you said scholarship.com,
FastWeb, and bigfutures.org. But if you go to collegeboard.org and click on it, it'll take you to their scholarship portal.
Perfect. And then the last one you said was also make sure you check out the scholarship listings on actual college websites, because they may have some out there that are specific to the area in which they're located.
Right. And or your major as well.
Thank you so much, Pam. I really appreciate you sharing all this information. And for anyone out there who's really interested in scholarships and they still want more, they want some more info from you, they want to connect with you more, where's a good place for people to reach out and see what you're doing, or maybe to send you a message and get in contact with you?
Yeah, and I'd love to hear from people, especially as they're applying and, they win, and it's always exciting. But my website is thescholarshipshark.com. And then I'm also on Instagram at thescholarshipshark and Facebook at scholarshipshark.
I'll make sure I'll put that in the show notes as well so people can reach out to you and get some more of that information from you, because, I think This is something that everyone knows about scholarships, but they don't know how to actually get them. I think that's how it goes for most people. So definitely want to make sure to put the resource out there, and that way people can get more info from you and learn from what you're doing, because it sounds like you're doing a really great job.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
I really wish I had Pam around when I was in high school. Maybe I would have actually won a scholarship and not wasted so much of my time just kind of thinking I knew what I was doing. But I hope that this episode will be helpful for all of you, and that you'll actually be able to take these tips and get out there and help reduce the cost of college. And, let me give you those scholarship databases that Pam mentioned again. There's bigfutures.org, salliemae.com/scholarships, scholarships.com, and fastweb.com. And I'll put links to all of this in the show notes as well. That way you don't have to try to write that down right now. And thanks for checking out episode number 2 in the Popcorn Finance Back to School series. If you haven't already checked out last week's episode, I was joined by Wayne Weber, CEO of The Gift of College, and together we discussed 529 plans and saving for college. Next week, I'll be joined by Cody Berman from Fly to Fi to discuss making wise financial decisions when it comes to choosing your college and your major. And make sure you're subscribed so that way you can catch that episode and all the future episodes in this series. And if you've been enjoying this series and the podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It makes a big difference. It really helps the show gain some more exposure. Plus, I really love hearing what you think about the show. So it means a lot. I love reading it. I'll more than likely share it on the show if you do it as well. So, another incentive for you to do it. Thanks again for joining me here for another bag of popcorn. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Your boy keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.